Allah Yahweh, Bashem El Shah, Bashem Rakakadash, the button to the apostles of Great Millstone, salutes to you brothers out there. This is a real quick one, yeah. So, the digital ID nightmare just got worse. Let's hear what these are saying. They're saying that England, the UK, United Kingdom, or more like the divided kingdom, right, is pushing digital IDs in other countries actively right now. Let's hear this. Let's check this.
This is what you tweet and test it, and we've paid digital government service toolkit, and we drive this infrastructure. Correct. That's exactly it. And it ID infrastructure, and we're paying for it. We don't know about it. We haven't been told about this. Correct. Correct. That's exactly it. And they're doing it so that they can use it as the test bed for, like you said, to test drive this infrastructure. And we have something called a digital government service toolkit. And we are almost testing it out in 2 particular foreign countries. And we've paid, the taxpayer has paid around £3.8 million over the past few years to drive it and test it. Very interesting. Which actually, let's get into it then. So this is what you tweeted out, right? Mm-hmm. So the UK government isn't just developing a digital infrastructure here in Britain, it's also funding and building it in foreign nations. Official Freedom of Information documents, which is a system by which in the UK you can basically request information to be handed from, behind closed doors. It's a way for transparency. For those that don't know, confirm that the UK government has spent around £3.8 million of taxpayer money funding and designing digital governance and ID systems in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
So let's pause it there. So there's so according to this, 3.8 million of taxpayers' money. We always say that funding and designing digital governance and ID systems in Bosnia, and I can't even say that, Herzegovina and Georgia, right? So they're pushing this. This is going to be a global new world order, right? You got third world countries with high tech going on right now,
and Georgia. So presumably, because £3.8 million doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, I'd love £3.8 million. If anyone wants to give that to me, that'd be great. But presumably £3.8 million would go quite far in places like that, wouldn't it? Correct. And what's even more scandalous about this is not only are we, the taxpayer, actually paying for other countries to build a digital infrastructure over there. The fact is, we were never asked about this. Nobody voted for this. Nobody is...
Because you're fucking slaves to the elites, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what? You know how much money they got, man? And then the taxing you. So you're a fucking slave?
Deeply unpopular, this particular policy, something that the Tony Blair Institute has been trying to push through for a long time. I think he's acting out as revenge because during the mid-2000s, his debate on Brit cards, or a digital ID, well, not digital ID, but ID cards throughout Britain, failed in the House of Commons, and he's kind of acted on this weird vengeance to really push this particular policy. So what's even more scandalous about that is the fact that they purposely go out to these countries to test run these particular schemes or programs, usually via another body. For example, this one is with the United Nations, of course, because the United Nations are incredibly powerful and literally have everyone wrapped around their finger. They will use like small countries to enact some sort of policy or enact some sort of legislation that they want to use here in the UK. They'll test drive it, they'll fund it, and then they can use that and say, well, we have been doing it over in Bosnia and Herzegovina and of course Georgia, and we can turn around and say, look, it's been a complete success over here. Estonia also uses our infrastructure for digital.
I'm almost certain that one of the politicians said that in their defense of it. They was saying, well, you've got it in other countries and it's working well. I think Keir Starmer could have said that. So they're pushing it in other countries for real. The scripture says, woe unto you rich men. There's pictures of Evelyn Rothschild with gold, man. Gold vaults. They're worth trillions, right?
To ID. So it's fascinating. They use it as a way to justify the policy and justify the infrastructure without any vote in the Commons, no debates, nothing from voters, anything. It's just a way for ministers to kind of pad it out and refine it when it comes back to the UK and then gets implemented. I think it's criminal. I think it's awful.
It really is. It's so cynical to do something like this unilaterally, and then point to it and say, "Look, it works. Therefore, it's good for us." I mean, it's such bullshit. The chicken before the egg, or whatever. I mean, one little data point, which may be slightly conspiratorial, but I think not actually. If you hear me out on this, Tony Blair's relationship with Bosnia and Herzegovina. I don't know if you know anything about that particularly, but of course there was a war with Serbia. You remember that one? Slobodan Milosevic. That was all during the Tony Blair years. So much so that the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina kind of idolised Blair, because we effectively sort of saved them. I'm being sarcastic here. Saved them from the evil Serbians, right? That was how that war was painted. Serbians are the baddies.
All wars are bankers' wars. They always do that. They're from one side of the war, or if let's say they've got a problem with Russia, so they'll side with Ukraine, or vice versa. If anybody comes against the small hats, you're looking to get wiped out. America's been talking about getting Iran from Obama said it. Hillary Clinton said it. A whole bunch of them have said it. Trump's always said Iran. That's where they want to get. Even Kamala Harris mentioned Iran being a threat, and that place just needs to get obliterated. So that's how they get down.
And the Muslim Bosnians are the goodies that we're saving. Okay? I'm being sarcastic. It was so much more complicated than that. The story goes back decades and decades. Anyway, so much so that the name, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, the name something like Tonibla became one of the most popular names in that part of the world. Their version of Tony Blair, the way they pronounce Tony Blair, it got concatenated into one name. Sounds a bit like Tonibla. And loads of little kids from the 90s, got called that. So they idolised Tony Blair. And Tony Blair does sort of, and his institute, does sort of globe trot, doesn't it? Goes around the world, globe trotting and spreading his influence and his ideas and his personality. I find that very unsurprising that of all the places in the whole world, that the tiny little, easily manipulated...
Most Brits ain't going to know that. You know what I'm saying? People usually only care about what's going on over here or in their little... most people are watching the stupid box. Coronation Street, EastEnders, you know what I'm saying?
Manipulated friend of Tony Blair, like Bosnia, Herzegovina, who will sort of do whatever the UN want within reason because they're so insignificant compared to a giant, powerful body like the UN or like the Tony Blair Institute. It doesn't surprise me at all. And Britain also has quite a long and deep relationship with Georgia as well. So that's a tiny bit more surprising. But this is so cynical. It's so cynical. I hate it. I hate it.
So I think one take home for me here when I look at this, the Bosnia and Herzegovina digital transformation in the public sector project, it ran from 2022 to 2025. Now, do we know if that's still ongoing or not, or was that just where it ran from until?
So, according to the Foreign Commonwealth Office, it said that the last actual funding was this year of April,
so
which they
could potentially.
So it's still ongoing.
Right.
It's still ongoing.
Again, another cynical point, but confirms that we are effectively an unspoken autocracy behind closed doors. This traverses multiple governments and is firmly in the purview of civil servants, isn't it?
Correct. Absolutely. I've always believed that House of Commons, even Rupert Lowe says this, the House of Commons is just, it's theatre. There's not actually much that gets done on the floor of the House of Commons. A lot of the time it's just rabble. And the real people that run this government in particular in the UK are the likes of the civil service, the judiciary. It's ministers that you don't even know their names. You don't even know who they are. And
there was one dude, I don't know if it's Ken Booth, but he you'd see him in there and he wouldn't have to talk. He would just stand up and make a speech now and then. But he was going to the Bilderberg meetings. There was some of them that allowed to go every year, and then they asked him about it. But they're all laughing because so you've got guys in there with more power than others. It's a shadow government, man. It's the Illuminati. It's the Job 5, or if it hide me from the secret council of the wicked. You know what I'm saying? And that obviously, as you can see on the screen here, it says documents obtained by Restore Britain under the Freedom of Information Act reveal the following key findings. The Bosnia and Herzegovina digital transformation in the public sector project 2022 to 2025 is funded at approximately 2.7 million, building national e-service portals, open data platforms, interoperability frameworks, and digital ID and e-payment modules. So it's all infrastructure for digital ID and ultimately the chip. The project also develops a public service design toolkit based on UK government digital service GDS methods, effectively exporting Britain's digital government design model abroad. So yeah, there is a shadow government pulling strings, and the ultimate goal is to get everyone chipped. Let's see if there's
people that it's activists within these types, embedded within these institutions and the public sector and the private sector as well. And that's what I've always believed. And it's quite interesting. In the document, it showed a list of redacted people that were there. I think it was over 15 people who sat down and consulted about the policy, and it was all written down with memos and the memoranda of understandings between all different parties. Every single one of them redacted. All met in but just posted it, left on the actual document. And you
redacted. We need to law. You can in the courts. I'm always up in the bloody courts, man. And redacted is something that they remove legally. Like they'll, what I'm saying. Let's say you had some, like they had a list of MPs, but they'll redact. Let's say there was an Epstein file, and there was 100 people, and it was going to reveal it, and then 70 names got redacted, so you don't even know who they are.
You can see it in the video. It's quite astonishing. An address, and the address is of a cafe called Lolita, which is insane. And they sat in a cafe in Georgia, drafting up this policy essentially, and it's actually mad how diplomacy works. We've spoken about this before on the Lotus Eaters, and Bo made the comment saying 90% of diplomacy is literally a game of golf or going out for dinners and stuff like that. It's genuinely insane to just read a policy like this that has been discussed just in a cafe. Obviously, there's other elements to that, but the fact that they have that on the sheet of paper is genuinely mental.
Of all things, Lolita, really?
I know.
Really?
I know. That sort of took me off guard. I was like, oh, really? The irony there. Like, when we talk about like shadowy cabinets and, you know, obviously.
Well, it's called the shadow government. In the UK, they've got the branch of they've got the Cobra meetings, and you've got your shadow government. They actually called it shadow government. So that's what is happening here. The secret council of Wiccan, for all y'all that didn't know and was voting and all that, it's the gig's up. It's over, man. This is it. This is fucking it right now. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna close it here. I might do a part 2 to this.